Welcome into another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Got sidetracked, didn't play the Jalen Whitlow audio. That's on me. Uh, but we got Aaron Gershon in here from the Cat's Paws. My name is Vinny Hardy. Get Jalen back when he can. He's busy coaching and getting engaged and moving and all that kind of stuff. So we got plenty to talk about. AG, man, just a crazy weekend. It was jam packed this past weekend.
Yeah, I had a chance to be one of the better Kentucky sports weekends in quite a while, and I still think it was, just not obviously not from a win-loss standpoint, but from a nostalgia, from a cool factor standpoint with basketball Friday night, and then football. They just we'll get all into it, but they can't win at home. They are 2-10 in their last 12 SEC home games. They are 0-6 in their last 6 SEC home games. They've won 2 games at home in the SEC since the end of 2021. So it's just extremely, extremely frustrating and kind of it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, they have 2 losses to Georgia in there. They have a loss to Alabama in there. They have a loss to I'm trying to think 2 to Tennessee, which makes more sense than losing to Vandy in South Carolina twice. So it's just a bizarre theme that's happening. I guess the good news is they're on the road this week and they're in the same span. They're 6-4 on the road and they have a win in the Swamp in that span. So, we'll get all into it. But, last weekend was still, I'd still think it was a very cool weekend. From the basketball side of things, the environment at football with the blackout was outstanding as well. The product on the field just didn't match the energy.
And I don't know if the blackout was kind of quickly assembled or thought about.
I think UK put it out Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken.
And you heard a lot of people like, well, Vandy wears black and gold too. Why are we using their colors?
Almost every team has a shade of black.
I'm not the uniform purist that our colors are blue and white. I'm not that guy. I like the black jerseys. They look good. No matter what with the pants, I'm just not a fan of two stripes down the side.
That's fair.
If we had the black jersey and just straight blue pants, I think that would look a lot better. The 2 stripes, even with the white pants and the blue stripes, the blue pants with the white stripes, I'm just not feeling the 2 stripes down the side of the leg. That's just me though.
I hear you on that. Yeah, I like the black jerseys are okay. They're better than the gray. I just don't like the blue nameplate. Like, make them white. The nameplate can't read them well from the stands. Can't read them well from the press box. I'm sure you can read them well on TV, but not that I don't know the players. It's a pet peeve. Like, come on, make them white, make them pop a little more. But they're 0-2 in the black jerseys, so they might have to retire.
Man, and you mentioned at home. This is just my little math. We're 1-5 against Vandy and South Carolina the past 3 years, right?
Yes, the only win was the win at Vandy last season.
Right. So, good Lord.
Yeah.
In
that game they got off to a 24-0 lead, and then it got kind of tight. So none of them was easy.
Yeah. And Saturday, the electric atmosphere. I was watching. Wasn't there like you. The stadium looked great. They would zoom out, come back from commercial. Loud. Everybody just ready to explode. Everybody's fired up. The atmosphere. You were inside the building, but it looked the field looked great. The stadium looked amazing, and
there was so much juice in that building, man.
Yeah.
You could even just walking in, you could see the tailgates that were a little more crowded than usual. It felt like a big game. Like, the fans understood that Vandy was coming off a historic upset. They understood that they were not, the Vandy that's usually the laughing stock of the SEC. They were probably fired up, given Kentucky was coming off a monumental win down in Oxford, and they were ready and they brought it, man. They were outstanding, really, until the fourth quarter. Like, it was a 1-possession game. Like, they never really let go of the rope until trying to think. maybe early in the fourth quarter after Wilson Berry had the snap issue. Like it was a great environment, and they deserved and deserve so much better because honestly, I'm trying to think. I've been at every SEC game, obviously since 2022. I wasn't there for the Tennessee game in 21. I know watching that game was an electric atmosphere, but I can tell you, I'm trying to think. Outside of like the Vandy game that it was kind of snowing and raining in 2022, they were all. I mean, some were better than others, but they were great. So many great environments just wasted. And again, you lose to Alabama, okay. You lose to Georgia twice, fine. Missouri. Obviously, the way they lost was unacceptable. If they had lost to them, it would have made sense because Missouri was a better team. But losing twice to Vandy, twice to South Carolina, it's just unacceptable. You can't do it on your home field, and it is what it is. It's regression. It's a lack of concentration. I don't know what it is at home. It would be one thing if they just sucked everywhere, and then we could just be like, okay, this thing's not working. But they go on the road to Ole Miss. That was a great atmosphere. They won that game. They should have beat them there 2 years ago too. The Swamp 2 years ago was, I'd put it as the best environment I've been in on my time on the beat. They went out and won that game by 10. They lost to Tennessee and Georgia badly. Yeah, but 6 road wins in SEC play in the same span. You have 2 SEC home wins. It's not like this team is like just 2-10. Like they're going 500 and they're just not able to win at home. So it really is. Mark Stoops has basically thrown his hands in the air. He doesn't understand it. The players, no one really had a good answer for not calling them out for a lack of answer, but no one really had anything substantial as far as what they think might be the problem, or no one can put a finger on it. And they only have one opportunity in SEC play to get a win at home. And if they lose to Auburn, next weekend at home, they'll have gone 0-4 in SEC play at home for the first time since 2013, which was not a good season.
Yeah. And I think if I saw right, I mean, the 2-10 is everywhere. That's the stat of the week. I want to say I saw that Joker Phillips was 4-8 in his last 12 at home.
I mean, most coaches. Yeah.
I mean, like, yo, that's
winning at home should be easier. I mean, I'd love to know when's the last time. I don't think Georgia's lost a game in Athens since 2019, when they lost to South Carolina, and Georgia. They had a great atmosphere the night Kentucky's there, but Kirby Smart has called them out for atmospheres, in the past. Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss had like a 17 or 18 game home winning streak. I don't know about conference play, but they had won a bunch of home games in a row. They beat Ole Miss at home LSU at home last year in their marquee home game. Like the teams just win at home, and if they have struggles, it's usually when they go on the road. And for whatever reason, this team plays even when they lose for the most part. I mean, there's been the Georgia game last year, the Tennessee game 2 years ago, but they usually put up a pretty good fight. When they're at home, it's just, I mean, yeah, they're close games, but they just don't play well. It's really, I mean, the Georgia game they played well, but it's just weird. It doesn't make that much sense.
And you just think about how Phillips' tenure, those last few years, you knew it was this isn't working.
Right.
He ends the streak against Tennessee. I believe that bought him another year. You just can't. Okay, he ended a 3 decades long losing streak to Tennessee. We can't fire him now. And
right.
I mean, we stormed the field, and I remember walking out. I remember to the crowd of people I'm with. I'm like, y'all know this means another year Joker. And we were all like, yeah. And then we went and stormed the field anyway.
Yeah, I got to have that moment. You trade it.
And if, I haven't pulled the numbers, but if he went 4-8 in his last 12 and we knew he wasn't going to make it, and here Stoops is 2-10, that's is hard to wrap your head around, man.
It's very hard to wrap your head around, especially, they were 11-1 against Vandy in South Carolina from 2016 to 2021. And again, Vandy got better this year. There's no question Vandy's a better team this season. I don't think Kentucky should have lost this game at home, especially because Vandy didn't play that well. Like
Right.
you got to give them their flowers. They played better.
Mhm.
Pavia only had 2 incomplete passes. Made some plays with his legs, extending plays, and you give credit to that. I thought their running back, Cedric Alexander, was effective. One of the more effective running back performances against Kentucky this season.
Yeah.
Um, their scheme caused some problems early, and Kentucky caught on in the second half. And defensively, I mean, I don't even know. I can't give it. I mean, yeah, they had a really nice play to punch the ball free from Dane Key,
Yeah.
in the high red. Other than
Mhm.
that, like Vandy's defense did nothing special. Kentucky just committed penalties after every good play. So it's that frustration. And then, you go to South Carolina. South Carolina was a match. You give South Carolina credit on this year's matchup because this year they are a matchup nightmare from UK from the point they have 2 elite edge rushers, and Kentucky's
Mhm.
offensive tackles have not played well, this
Yeah.
season at all. And so that was, that I understood more.
Mhm.
31-6, still unacceptable. Probably still should beat that team and find a way, but you get it. But South Carolina is not that much better than they've under Shane Beamer than they were under Will Muschamp. Like I think you ask a South Carolina fan that, I don't think they could even deny it. So it's just like, why is this happening? And especially why at home? And they got to figure it out. And like I said, they only have one opportunity left at home in SEC play to get it done. And I know it's not SEC play, but then now you got to start thinking about that Louisville game. Like, is it going to be pressure packed because it's at home? It's senior day.
Mm.
It's the last game of the season. A bowl eligibility could be on the line. Like, I
Right.
mean, it's just this can't go on. Even if they beat Auburn and beat Louisville, and they play Murray, but even if they finish the year 3-0 at home the rest of the way, I think this coaching staff needs to spend a long period of time this offseason evaluating this problem at home.
Yeah. For sure. And it's just, and the whole thing you said he threw his hands up about, losing at home. I'm sure he's probably thrown his hands up about how to handle coming off of a bye because here we
Yeah,
are
they're
with that again.
5-8, right? 5 and
And
9.
yeah, and the fact to me it makes it worse. You on one hand, I was like, cool, they got a bye after Ole Miss. They got a chance to get themselves back together and come down off of the high of, getting a top 10 win on the road.
Right.
You while you're off healing up, you watch Vandy beat Alabama.
Sure.
And you struggle with them when they're not good.
Especially at home, yeah.
It
Another
was
one. What did we talk about last week? Every game since 2016 at home, one
yeah,
score, and it was one score
14.
again.
Yeah, greatest team of my lifetime with Josh Allen. Those boys beat them
That's right.
14-7.
That's
So,
right. I was there.
and then they're coming in off the biggest win in the history of the school, and they
Yes.
still focus better than you and
Yeah.
come in here and win. That is
Yeah.
just
And the discipline. I've never the South Carolina. It's just bizarre because they're despite what's gone on with South Carolina and Vandy, where I think it was 9 penalties against Carolina, 12 this weekend against Vandy. They're still the least penalized team in the SEC.
golly.
Like, that's how disciplined they played against Georgia. They played in their cupcakes, and how they played at Ole Miss. Like, they have played with great discipline outside of but those 2 games, it's been miserable and awful discipline. And it's mind-boggling. And honestly, I think, the first area I look at with the discipline is really, the Dane Key penalty's foolish. It can't happen. He did the same thing against Vandy last year. So that one annoys you, but it starts with the ones on the offensive line, man. The false starts, the holdings. Cox and Mincy. I think I wrote it down. I'm gonna try to pull it up right here. They've been called for way too many penalties this year. Those 2 guys, especially 6 on Cox and 7 on Mincy. That is 13 penalties from your offensive tackles. Like, that is a huge problem. A lot of them it's either holds or false starts for the most part. I think there might have been an illegal man downfield in there. They can't block without holding. And that's a huge problem when you're going up against premier edge rushers week in and week out in the SEC. Those penalties drive you nuts. The situational awareness. just you can't jump off sides at the half-yard line. Just it
Oh,
was. I mean, Mark Stoops teams. I get they're usually not. It's not a common theme for them to be this undisciplined. I know fans are pissed off and they're up in oh, it's always discipline. It's really like they've had some bad penalties and bad moments, but not to where they pile up and it's every drive, every play like this. Like this is just what's going on. What happened against Vandy, what happened against Carolina is just it's over the top and they got to figure it out. And, some of the players this week, like JQ Hardaway used the term self-policing, it starts like a lot of the coaches deserve blame. Like it's Mark Stoops' program at the end of the day. He's got to be, doing a better job with messaging and having consequences, whether it's using the bench or something for guys that continue to violate, just commit penalties on and on again, like the tackles do. And, we hinted at Cortland Ford maybe getting some real run this weekend. So that tells you something. But I just think it does fall on the players more so at the end of the day. You got to have leaders step up and self-penalize, self-police. I found it interesting. I'm not trying to call anyone out, but, Kentucky, usually most teams have like 4 designated captains, maybe 3. Kentucky only has 2 full-time captains this year, with Deion Walker and Eli Cox. And I just wonder, you got to question, what's the leadership situation like? And Mark Stoops, admitted it's harder in this portal era and Eli Cox talked about it too. Like, you're not with the same guys for 4 or 5 years anymore. Some of them, but this offensive line, Jalen Farmer and Gerald Mincy are first year to the program. Marcus Cox came in expecting to be a 1 and done. He's going to be a 2 and done. Eli's the only guy on the front that's been there for multiple years. So it's a different era of college football. And, I think Kentucky's done a nice job bringing in the right guys from the portal and guys that help them win games. But as far as nailing the aspect of, building chemistry, discipline, everyone being in a common mission, it hasn't quite come to fruition like maybe some other schools.
And at this point, I mean, we're 12 years in the end, but the culture, I mean, that word gets thrown around a lot, but it's something's a little bit off kilter. It's something that's, a disconnect of some kind.
There's something going on. And that goes back to why are they losing at home? And why are the distractions happening in Lexington? So there's something going on.
And so look, you don't know you're gonna lose, but we get the Big Blue Madness on Friday here in a little bit, but you walk out on the ASB glass floor. We had those guys on here last week talking about all the cool stuff that the floor can do. They turned the LED video floor into a football field for you to walk on there. And I'm sure he felt great talking about, hey, I'm here. It's good to be here, and unity, and Cal's gone. I'm here. Basically, is what you're saying. I'm glad to be here. So you popped off, talked that talk a little bit. You gotta beat Vandy. You gotta come out and beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I agree.
They turned the LED floor into a football field for you in Rupp Arena. Everybody was chanting his name, right? Stoops.
Yeah, because he was on top of the world 2 weeks ago.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It was just again, it just doesn't make any. Again, how are they able to go do? And maybe Ole Miss was a little overrated. Okay, they've lost 2 games.
I can see that. Yeah,
but
by 6 points total, though.
So. Right, exactly. They're still a really good football team with a really good head coach. So and some really, really, really good players that you held in check. So it's just, how does that happen away in enemy territory? It was a sold out crowd. Very, great environment, early kick, sure, but just like everything's against you. Maxwell Harrison doesn't play in that game either.
Yeah.
And you kicked their ass, honestly. Like, I don't even think the final score was reflective. I thought Kentucky outplayed them by 10 points, but their deficiency on, their inability to pass protect and finish drives, like that's the reason it it was a nail biter.
Yeah.
But it's just how, and that's we'll keep asking. They're gonna keep giving us non-answers, which I get, but they gotta find a way to figure it out inside because this fan base is getting now at this point. I understand it, man. I understand the tiredness. I understand the restlessness, and it's time for results. And look, the schedule. I think the rest of the way you have to at least just take care of the teams that people expect you to beat. That's Florida, Auburn, Murray, obviously, and then Louisville at the end of the year. You get there, that's what that's 7, and then you try your damn hardest to pick off Tennessee, who they look vulnerable right now. Nico is slowed down significantly.
Mm-hmm.
I think their strength of their team is their defense. Maybe you can win a low-scoring game in Knoxville, or at least just put up a really good fight and give. You need some optimism, and I think this weekend it's pretty from a PR standpoint, from a fan base restlessness standpoint. It's pretty darn close to a must win.
Yeah. For y'all, if you don't already know, we're coming to y'all courtesy of the Believe Podcast Network. So that means we're live streaming on Facebook, YouTube. Follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Believe in Kentucky Podcast, Believe in KY on Facebook. Even stuck it up there in the comments. If y'all would, we'd appreciate it. Just rate the podcast and leave a review. Just hit us with the little 5 stars and then put a little comment in there what you think of the show. It helps us grow and reach more people, and we'd appreciate it. Let us know what you think for sure as well. You were in there for the Monday afternoon presser. Mark Story asked why Jamarian Wilcox isn't getting more run. Your thoughts when you heard the answer?
Well, I mean, first of all, I was very surprised because Mark Stoops is not one to signal out players like that. It was a question actually that got asked of him after the game, and he gave an answer of having to look at it, and so did Bush Hampton. And then he was asked about it again because Wilcox averaged 11.5 yards per carry, played really well, and it's why isn't this guy getting more touches? And you know what? He was as blunt as I've ever heard him, talking about. And look, I think it's important for context. He has said this about Jamarian, not the shoe thing, but he has talked about Jamarian with us before, saying he, on the field, he's getting better. He's got to take care of the little things off the field, right? He was inactive for the South Carolina game because he missed a protection meeting. He was late. He has not, hasn't done the things off the field that guys like Jason Patterson, who is a freshman that came in here in the spring and excelled and does things in a very mature manner. He hasn't had the maturity off the field that's clicked yet, but the production on the field has been there, which is encouraging. But then, I think it was more he was asked that question and it was tired and he slipped up. And, he brought up the fact that, his shoes were untied and, maybe start with tying your shoe. And what I think that was one, frustration because he knows Wilcox could help them, but they are not going to reward a guy who's going to go out and do that. And 2, I think partially too, he's sick of us asking about it. And again, he got angry. But it's just in this era where guys are more sensitive, and you have the portal. I wouldn't have gone there. I would not have gone there.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, I don't know Jamarian well enough, personally. Hopefully he's a mentally tough kid, and that's actually a good thing. For some guys, it's a good thing. They need that kick in the butt. So maybe that's what Stoops was trying there. Maybe, getting to know Jamarian and, the people around Jamarian that, obviously these coaches talk to. Maybe that was something that they suggested, hey, let's, maybe we need to call him out and wake him up. But it was very surprising to hear that come out of his mouth. It was definitely not like him, and it's just another head scratcher.
Because he said it with his chest. He said, he was wagging his head.
He always says he doesn't want to create a headline, but he did it.
Yes. Yes, and
So
that's
he must be really. There must be. I mean, and people, of course, these social media investigators quickly found pictures of Wilcox with his shoes untied. So it's a real thing. Like Stoops wasn't lying.
yeah.
But
Well,
again,
I mean,
I just questioned the time and place
uh-huh.
of that statement.
I
That's
mean,
all.
it happened during the game. He ripped off a run and had to run off with his shoe.
And that's got
And
to be, and that probably is incredibly frustrating if you're a coach. Like, yes, we have this stud, and we have to take him out for a play because his shoe's off.
and again, and that led me look. Is this happening in practice? Is his shoe coming off in
Right.
practice? Because it's not.
Right.
You've heard it. You look. You've been around football your whole life. You're a Giants fan. Parcells, the way you practice, the way you play.
Right.
All that's and so are we practicing this way? Are we losing shoes and having to come off in practice? Because this clearly made it to the game. And 6 games in, how have you or Bo Ware or somebody not gotten through? Hey, dude, tie your
Your
shoe.
damn shoes. Yep.
My Lord. And so we talked about it's a bad look. People are kind of mocking you. That's stuff, you get laughed at for saying that kind of stuff. And
yeah, especially when you're losing.
Yes.
If you're winning and you say that, people are making light of it. And that again, I was having this conversation with somebody today, and it's gonna happen on the basketball side eventually, right? When Mark Pope inevitably hits a rough patch, every coach does. I'm not saying he's gonna be a bad coach.
Yeah.
When they eventually, say they lose to Duke, right? Say they lose to Duke, and then they lose to Clemson. So they lose their first 2 big games of the year. Yeah. Again, hypothetical, not predicting that. Mark Pope, I guarantee you're going to see some people on Twitter mock his positivity from press conferences and some of his sayings. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed. Just like with Cal. At first, basketball bennies, haven't seen him yet, was funny, cute. Then it became mean jokes because they're pissed off. That's exactly what's happening, with Stoops and his sayings. And, he often says, put it on me, or, people are taking that and running with it. Trust me. And the shoe thing is a negative. If they were playing well, if this was the 2018 team and the back, AJ Rose, who was the backup guy who did really well that year, was doing this thing. And, someone and Stoops came out and said that, they'd be making a joke about it. But when you're losing, everything is scrutinized. Everything's bad. Just nothing nice is going to be said. And that's just how it goes.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly the case. So we'll we'll ride this roller coaster to Gainesville and see what happens.
Again, good news is they're on the road. They're on the road. They're playing against a team they've had really, really great success against in recent years. 3 in a row, 2 in a row since Napier's been there. Florida, first of all, you hate to see what happened to Graham Mertz.
Right.
You never want to see a guy go down, especially as a 6th-year senior who that's his last play in college football.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a Florida team that they played better ball the last 2 weeks, but their run defense is 97th in the country. They're a mediocre defense at best. You've seen them get lit up by most good offenses outside of Tennessee, who's kind of just slumping right now. Their offensive line is okay, not great. Lagway is making his first career SEC start. They do have really good receivers. That is something to watch, especially Eugene Wilson, who's back healthy now. Dyke 17 is a really good player. So, it's a really good wide receiver room with Kentucky having, a huge injury with Max Harrison at corner. That makes things difficult. But, Ole Miss has a better receiving room and Kentucky still handled that. So you feel okay. But this is a beatable Florida team. They're a desperate team as well, though. So, they're dangerous, but it has all the things Kentucky likes. It's a team they like to play against, and it's on the road. So wouldn't be surprised at all if they win it at all. I mean, I actually do think they're going to find a way to win it. It's just, it just feels like one of those games they're going to get up for.
And, they went down there and made Anthony Richardson uncomfortable,
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was getting all that Heisman hype. Lagway's talented. I mean, the throw he made against Tennessee to force overtime
was an incredible throw.
Yeah, so he can pose problems if they don't come ready to play. But like you said, it's just they match up well with them for whatever reason. In a lot of ways, how do they match up well with Florida the way they don't match up well with Tennessee historically these past few
Right.
years. But we'll see what happens when they go to Knoxville in a couple of weeks. But it, it does feel like that it's a win is coming against Florida, and it's weird for us to
Yeah.
say that because what this is 3 in a row, going for 4 in a row, right?
Going for 4 in a row.
And we're out playing them for 2 or 3 years before you finally beat them. There were some games where you should have beat them. The 28-27 game where you left receivers uncovered. It was a 14-9 game.
Yep. 2019, you missed a 35-yard
Yeah.
35-yard field goal.
Patrick Toles was here. I think it's 14-9 in
Yep.
Lexington. Where there's the 36-30 game in overtime where you get robbed with the play clock with Boom Williams and so there was you could have a real nice little streak going against Florida because you've been going toe to toe with them for a while. So
look, they're just not a very good. They're These are two middle of the pack to bottom SEC football teams right now. That's the unfortunate reality of the situation for both programs. This isn't a heavyweight clash by any means. This is a team that Kentucky and the other thing with Florida is they have a lot of guys who are either sophomores, freshmen, like they just have they're not a very experienced football team, starting at the quarterback position. So it's just it's a winnable game. It sets up well where you're on the road, and we'll see what happens. Again, this is not at all a gimme. It's a game that's a coin flip for me. I think it's going to go down to the wire as most Kentucky football games do. But this is one this is a matchup Kentucky's done well in. They got to continue to take care of business, and like I said, they really need this win because if they lose this one, they're 3-4.
Yeah.
That path to bowl eligibility, and losing that streak. And that's if they lose that streak, I mean, it's going to be I don't think anyone wants to go 7-5 again. I think it's very possible they go 7-5. And I'm not saying anyone should be happy with that, but if they end up going 5-7, 6-6, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be even worse than some of the talk we're having now.
Yeah. That's it. And Florida played Tennessee better than a lot of people thought.
They played a great game, but they always do.
Yeah, because like I said, Napier's record against Tennessee is better than it is than Kentucky.
Yeah, 1-2 versus 0-2.
So we shall see. We shall see. Flipping to basketball, we talked about the madness that the football has created, but there was madness Friday with Big Blue Madness. You were in the building for it. It had some new stuff. You had guys coming out of the Raptors.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a good touch.
That was different. Yeah. Lamont Butler comes down to his own track that he's released, which I respect that. He got a song coming out. Yeah. So I respect it. Look, he's got the video. Hardy Boy is in it, so I'm like, I gotta like that, And then he references Harlan for Trent Noah. Hey, gotta like that. So hey, man, he gets to now in this day and age profit off of what he's able to do. So people download it, and he gets some stuff like that. So cool for him.
Yeah.
Rick Pitino was there. So that, for a certain age, you feel a certain way. You're either for him, against it. You might have been indifferent. I don't know. What was the reaction in the building when he was there? It was more positive than negative?
No, it was all positive. Yeah, I didn't hear a negative roar. Look, again, it's a time heals all wounds type situation there. At the end of the day, he brought this program back from the mess they were in, with all the NCAA violations and the what's the word I'm looking for? The
sanctions.
Sanctions. I suppose looking for. The program was a mess, and he brought it back. He brought in, so many fan favorites, guys' names who were in the rafters, and then obviously a national championship. Most importantly, and and this is going to be this. Cal's going to get the same moment one day. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
It's definitely not going to be when they get to Lexington on February 1st. He's going to get booed.
No.
It's not going to be next year. It's not going to be the year after that. It's going to be 5 to 10 years from now. It's going to be when he's not either not in the SEC or he's retired. It's just not going to be that. But enough time has passed where Pitino is, 2017. He's 7 years removed from Louisville. He doesn't have a good relationship with Louisville. All the Cardinal is out of him. And what at the end of the day, I think fans are realizing he didn't do Kentucky wrong. He went and became the head coach of the Boston Celtics, which is the New York Yankees of the NBA. And, he ended up getting a job offer with the money he couldn't refuse from Louisville after he got canned. So, it's just, I think, again, time heals all wounds, and the nostalgia factor of Mark Pope, the captain of that team, coming back and being the head coach and that being his coach and his mentor, the offense trying to kind of take a lot from what Pitino does offensively. I just think the time was now to do something like that. And it was a really cool, powerful moment. I don't think many people that were there will forget, especially the diehards. And now we can all know that Pitino's welcome back. We don't have to, that was that. And we move on.
I accidentally muted myself. My
That's
bad.
okay.
Sorry
No, you're
about
good. No, don't be.
I was indifferent as it was happening on TV.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a reaction. When he goes to Kentucky, he leaves Kentucky for Boston. I got it. I understood.
Sure.
When you leave Boston and go to Louisville, I was like, come on, dude. I was like, come on. I was one that Michigan was open and you could have taken Michigan. Nick Saban didn't leave the Dolphins and then come back and coach Auburn. He didn't go, Coach K didn't go from Duke to Carolina. Dean Smith didn't go from Carolina to Duke. You just don't see dudes switch it up and go to
the
rival.
It's definitely uncommon.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is not going to be coaching Ohio State ever. You're just not going to see that.
Saban did go to Bama, by the way.
yeah. He went from. I'm not saying.
Yeah, no,
Miami.
He didn't go to Auburn. He didn't go to Auburn.
He didn't leave. He didn't leave Bama for a couple of years and come back and go to Auburn.
Yeah. I got
now, we see it in the pros. Johnny Damon played for the Yankees and the Red Sox and stuff like that. That's different. So I was like, man, come on, dude. Really? Louisville?
Yeah.
Come on, man. And I know that his players rock with him. You talk to Cameron Mills, you talk to Derek Anderson, you talk to Anthony Epps, Tony Delk hosted this podcast. Those dudes, Coach P is their guy. And that's totally understandable. The fact he went to Louisville doesn't even really bother them because that's their coach. That's their coach. So it just took a minute, and for once Pope was hired, you knew this was coming. Either sooner than later.
It was coming. Whether it was for a game or something like this, it was coming.
Exactly. And you mentioned that, and most people are kind of over it. The time does heal our wounds.
Yeah,
did it happen? Yeah, I'm still. Yeah, I mean, okay, fine. I appreciate everything you did, but the Louisville thing, I was like, dude, you really could have coached anywhere else. Like, and you mentioned, will it happen for Cal in the future? It definitely could. My hypothetical was if Tyler Ulis goes on and has the coaching career that we think, because he's already off to a nice start. He's already coaching because he's not able to play right now. He was a coach when he was here as a player.
Yeah,
so
essentially.
If he goes on to have a good coaching career, and you know how you is at Kentucky, you have to have proven yourself to be brought back and be considered hireable by Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he does coach and has a resume worthy enough to be the coach of Kentucky in 15 years from now, the first thing he's gonna do is bring an 80-year-old Cal back to Big Blue Madness. You already know.
There's
So
no question.
there'll be people that are, there'll be some people that are
Yeah.
conflicted, kind of like there are now. But history could repeat itself here again
Mm-hmm.
down the road if Park Pope does his thing, and then Kentucky hasn't been like North Carolina that's kept it in the family. You got to be a Kentucky guy, got to be a Carolina guy, but Kentucky didn't really have a lot of guys that were doing well enough as coaches to be considered by Kentucky
Right.
until now. Travis Ford didn't do well. John Pelfrey didn't do well. Sean Woods didn't do well. So, Pope's really the first guy that's a former Cat that's even worthy enough to be hired. And I'm just saying, if Euless does it, and this is a big if, he could, get a head coaching job and be 20-70, and then that would kind of. But if he does well, and he gets hired by Kentucky, he'll have Cal back here as soon as he can, just like Pope had Patino here the first chance he got.
Yep. Yep. That's just how it look. These coaches, these players are more mature than fans from that standpoint. Like, they know it's a business. That's what this is. It's a business. It's a business. It's a business. And, Rick Pitino got a contract at the time that was overwhelming, and, you don't just decline it. And he took it. It happened to be at the rival. That the fans are not going to sit well with that. But like you said, Cam Mills, Mark Pope, Tony Delk, Antoine Walker, those guys all rocked with P. And that's the same thing with Reed Shepherd. I guarantee you'll never say a bad word about Cal. Rob Dillingham, same thing.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it goes. For the most part, players. I mean, there are obviously examples. We saw at SEC Media Day. Clearly, there's no love lost between Jackson Robinson and Eric Musselman. Yeah. So it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, but most of the time, these coaches and players are very, very tight, and they rock with one another till the wheels fall off.
Mm-hmm. And good on Jax not to air it, not to take shots and say how he was really feeling. And
he basically said, "If I have nothing nice to say, don't say it." Yeah. Like what you learn in grade school.
Mm-hmm. So good for him to have that restraint to not, take that shot. I mean, he might have wanted to, but it wouldn't have.
It wouldn't have served anyone well.
That high road was the way to go, and it's good that he did it for sure.
Yeah, no question. No question.
Let's see. We got exhibition games coming up too.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure who it is. We get to see them actually play.
I think Kentucky Wesleyan's won.
That's right. And then
then they play that D2. I think they won it all in the D2 level. Minnesota State Mankato. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, they have that first exhibition game. Well, the blue-white game's Friday night. Again, we talked at length. I didn't realize it, and I'm going to take issue with it again. I am all for NIL again. The players deserve their piece. And I'm even okay to an extent with the tickets, going to NIL. But for them to be so unaffordable, one, and two, they're not even televising the game.
Yeah.
Wrong to the common fan. Lack of understanding, I could go on and on how terrible and gutless a decision that is. So that makes me mad. It's no one, not Mark Pope or the team's fault, but I don't know whose fault it is, to be honest with you. Wrong on all levels. But Kentucky Wesleyan Wednesday night, a week from today, here at Rupp, and then that Minnesota State Mankato on Tuesday. So it'll be good to see them go up against other schools, and see this team really in game action for the first time. I mean, Madness. I think that was one of the good things in Madness. They got rid of a lot of the corny scrimmaging that you get nothing out of anyway. The pro day was good. Honestly, which was refreshing. They kind of just ran it like a practice. Like there was some scrimmaging, but it was more so drill work. It wasn't like it just wasn't the same as under Cal. It just felt like they were playing scrimmaging during those.
Okay.
So there wasn't. They just kind of kept things normal for the pro day. So I didn't really get much out of it from a, this guy is going to play well with this guy type thing. But it'll be. I'm very much looking forward to next Wednesday and seeing this team, go up against somebody else and seeing how they fare.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yep, Kentucky Wesleyan on the 23rd, 7 o'clock at RUP SEC Network Plus. So, y'all have to stream it.
Yeah, you can. At least you can watch it, though. Like, I mean, to not even a live stream or something is just. And what are the tickets going for now? I'm going to look right now real quick. I mean, I won't be I can't even. I'm going to be in Florida. I'm not even going to be able to watch it. So you won't get any takeaways from me because
the blue white. That's right.
Yeah. It's starting at except the cheapest ticket is $125. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's wrong. And it goes up to as much as $310 for this.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Well, if you want courtside, it's actually going to cost you $1,500 just for the blue white game. So just wrong on so many levels.
Man.
And that's without the junk fees too. So
right.
Can't even watch it on TV.
Yeah, that's it. Well, this time next week we probably won't be doing a podcast because it'll be the game.
Yeah, we just found that out together because I didn't think of that. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out a day next week.
Will your Yankees be in the World Series this time next week?
I think so. I think they'll be in it. Look, they're the better team between them and Cleveland. They've definitely been blessed a little bit with the path to the World Series, but you got to beat who's in front of you. And Cleveland has a great bullpen, and luckily the Yankees have been able to jump out into early leads and haven't really had to deal with the wrath of that. So we'll see who we'll see. First of all, hopefully they get the job done. I'm usually not very confident, and I am confident, so I don't know how I feel quite about that. But hopefully by the time we're doing this next time, they'll be in the World Series, and we'll see who they're up against. But hopefully they can finish the deal in pretty short order against this Cleveland team who, sorry to any Cleveland fans watching them, but they're the Yankees are on a different level. They have more talent. They have better players. It is what it is.
So how much of the 09 World Series do you remember when they won?
Oh, yeah. No, I remember it pretty vividly.
Okay.
I was 10, so I was young, but I was all in on the Yankees by then, and it was a lot of fun. Philly was the defending champs, and we fell behind game one. I remember being quite upset about that first game that Cliff Lee pitched his butt off. I think he went 8 innings, 1-run ball, and we win game 2. We get a big home run from Tex. Game 3, Andy Pettit. Not only did he pitch great, hit with the bases loaded. Game 4, Johnny Damon stealing second and then stealing third when no one was looking. So yeah, pretty good memories from that World Series, but I'd love to have one while I'm an adult here. Haven't even been into it since then. So
that just changed my perspective of you, because you're somewhat of a long-suffering fan, and
yeah, I get told all the time, like, "Oh, you're a Yankee fan, you can't complain." Like, I wasn't born I was born in the middle of the heydays, so like I don't, I was 9 months old in '99, in 2000. Like my first baseball memories were 2004, which was not good. That's when they got so like. Exactly.
I watched that 30 for 30 quite often.
I will never watch it. I have watched it. I'll never watch it again. I'll never watch they're doing a Netflix doc. Like, do we need more about it? Like, we know what happened, but
it's historic. It's historic.
Yeah.
I mean, not for you. I mean, it's the wrong kind of history.
It is historic, but I won't be watching. But that was my first baseball memory. So like, I have not had that. Like, I had the one when I was 10 years old. I've had better. Like, the Giants have been terrible for the majority of the last 10 years. 2 good years, 2 playoff seasons. But they, 2 Super Bowls that I'll never forget. Again, I'd love to get one as an adult, but like the Yankees, it's almost more torturous because you have these high expectations for them, and it's like Dallas, right? You know how it goes with the Cowboys. You get the high expectations, you're in the dance every year, and you fall short. So hopefully, this is the year that changes everything. But I'm rooting for the Dodgers.
Me
the
too.
Mets, the Mets are playing really good baseball, and they match up better with us. I am rooting for the Dodgers. I'd rather play the Dodgers.
Well, I'm petty. I just
you're a
Braves fan. I got the Phillies are out, thank God. Now we get the Mets out. I can. But
I don't hate the Mets that much. I don't root for them. Don't get me wrong, but like compared to the Red Sox and the Astros, the Rays, but I'm done with the story. I'm done with all that. Like, let's go Dodgers.
Yeah. So of course I was, teens and 20s during the heyday, which is why I hate the Yankees so much.
Right.
Because,
exactly.
We had Jim Leyritz on here who ripped my heart out, and at the time, it sounds bad, when he's hitting that home run. I don't even know if I knew he went to Kentucky at that time. I don't even know.
Wow. Yeah.
Baseball back then, it wasn't as popular.
Yeah, it probably wasn't televised much, if at all.
All you got was basically the College World Series at the end of the year.
Right.
You wouldn't. Now you flip on the TV and you got 2 top 10 teams going at it, 2 top 25 teams. It's all over the place.
Yeah, you can find any game. Yeah.
And I think it was after the fact, several years after the fact, which it didn't ease my pain. It's still, that's
not going to make it go away.
Yeah. I was like, oh, he went to UK, cool. So it was cool to have him on and talk about it, but I didn't know at the time. But yeah, I was forming a hatred for the Yankees when you were just being born and missing and not old enough to remember all that. But yeah, that run. So from that standpoint, they're close and they got a good look at it. They're 2 more wins away, and they might get a beat up Dodgers team. The Dodgers are up 2-0 right now, so let's see. But
that's the hope. Yeah, that's the hope. And again, from the standpoint of my buddies back home in my group chat, if we're gonna lose a World Series, I'd rather beat the Dodgers than the Mets.
I got you. And Rick Pitino was like our guy last week from our guy Chris from ASB Glass. He's diehard Yankee fan, but he also can root for the Mets. He's one of those New Yorkers.
I can't. Yeah, no, can't do it. I don't sit there and actively check the score and be like, oh, I hope they're losing. But it's like, I'm never gonna be like, oh, I hope they have a great year and win it all. That's just never gonna happen.
Gosh.
Same with the Jets. Like I feel more bad for the Jets than I'll ever do for the Mets. But seeing what's going on there, I have a buddy from back home who they just got Devontae Adams and he couldn't care less. He's so pissed off and so over this season. It's just they're a train wreck.
I can't believe Devontae went there, man.
He just loves Aaron. I get it from the Rodgers standpoint, but you're going from 2-4 to 2-4. And it's not like the Jets. The road, they played some of the easy teams on their schedule already. They play. What do they got this week? They've got. Let's see. Let me pull it up right quick. They got the Steelers on Sunday night. That's not going to be easy in Pittsburgh. Then they got New England. They should win that. And then they play Houston, who's good. And they have Seattle coming up, and Miami should have Tua back. They don't have a terrible schedule. They had the Bills again. They got the Dolphins twice, but they're not going anywhere.
No, and just Lazard's already there. He went from Green Bay and followed Rodgers. If Randall Cobb was still playing, he'd probably be in New York too.
He was there last year. Yeah, it's a joke, Aaron. Yeah, the whole thing. Rodgers can deny all he wants that he got Saleh fired. We know he got Saleh fired.
Absolutely.
It's just they're a train wreck, disaster organization, and they're cursed.
Yep. On that note, we'll put a bow on.
Sorry if you're a Jet fan, but I'm probably not saying anything that you don't know.
Yeah. And how Fireman Ed can go there week in and week out,
Poor
man.
guy.
It's,
It's
man,
just like our guy LPG. It's miserable for us too. I mean, especially I'll end on this rant. I cover. I feel like I cover and I watch the same team because the Giants are like third in the league in time of possession, and they just can't finish drives. It's frustrating as all hell. Uh, it's the same thing. I watched the same thing all weekend long.
I felt that way this weekend too. I was like,
Yeah.
what's more, which, and look, which comments were more surprising or embarrassing to me? The tie your shoes or the Jerry Jones threatening to fire the
Oh my
105.3 the
God.
fan guy? And
Probably that, honestly.
I usually tune him out. I
Yeah,
don't
that was
react.
bad.
I don't reactionary tweet about my team's a lot. I don't just hear something like, oh, God, pick up my phone and just get out a tweet. But when he's too sensitive to face a question after you lost by 40 to Detroit. What do you think they're going to ask you about? You go on the radio show every week because you want to, because you got to be seen, you got to be heard. And oh God, now they're asking me a tough question. It wasn't even tough. Just a basic. Why are we underachieving? What
It
did
was
we
just
do
like
anything in
when
the
it
offseason?
was like when the Orioles suspended their broadcaster for mentioning something
Yeah,
along those lines. Yeah, it's a joke. It's sensitive.
yes. And so,
And
and then I'll get somebody else in there ask some questions. I'm not kidding. Oh, but
okay, Jerry.
Mike McCarthy's job is safe. But Mike McCarthy's untouchable, but I'm gonna fire these radio hosts. That's what I'm gonna do. That's where he's at right now. I mean, McCarthy's the safest lame duck in the history of lame ducks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
God,
he's Jones is he's mind boggling. He's mind boggling.
and we got Houston coming up, and we got San Francisco and Houston, and the tough teams coming up. It's going to be a long year for me as well. So it is what it is. At least Kentucky football is on a roller coaster. They give us reasons to believe that they can still win, even though they will probably lose games they shouldn't. This stretch for Dallas coming up, and I wasn't that optimistic to start the season anyway, and it's playing out about like I thought it would.
Yeah.
So
yeah, now we lost Andrew Thomas. This is gonna be a long NFL season the rest of the way, and we'll be checking the mock drafts.
Mm-hmm. That's where we are right now. So we hit the madness, we hit tie your shoes, we hit the Florida Gators, we hit a little ALCS and Giants and Cowboys. That's a pretty full episode.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll figure out next week and with the scrimmage, but hopefully we're talking about a big road win and how can they figure it out at home against this bad Auburn team.
That's right.
Same cycle, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, just let me know what works best for your schedule, man. Because
I'll figure it out.
I'm a little more flexible, and you're the one that's having to be traveling and doing everything more so. So we'll work it out. Y'all subscribe and follow. Check us out each and every week. We appreciate you. Another episode of Believe in Kentucky on the Believe Podcast Network for Aaron Gershon. And we didn't get to your grades. Maybe we can do that next week too.
Sure.
My name is Vandy Hardy. Check Aaron out on the Cat's Paws. Check us out here on Believe in Kentucky. We'll be back next week.